Joe Mullings from 160 Studios in Delray Beach. And today we've got our MedTech Color crew, where the upcoming MedTech conference and always one of the most important and I think exciting parts is the breakfast that MedTech Color puts on that day. Kwame, thanks for joining us today. And Vanessa and Tania, I appreciate it and looking forward to chatting with you. So Kwame, here we go again. The MedTech Color Breakfast. That's been an iconic sort of event at the AvaMed conference.
Absolutely. We've had dynamic leaders like Omar Ishrak, the former CEO of Medtronic, provide a keynote speech. We've had speakers like Brooke Story, who runs a multi-billion-dollar business at BD. And I'm so excited to listen and learn from Tania this year. We've steadily grown and expect to have over 350 participants this year. And I just can't wait, Joe.
Yeah. And Tania Saison, you are the Chief Compliance Officer at Edwards Lifesciences, and you are the keynote this year, and that's really exciting. I've sat through all the other keynotes, and you've got a bar that's been set quite high. What does the keynote mean to you to be able to do that this year?
Well, first of all, yes, I'm well aware of that high bar, and I hope I can at least meet it to some extent. But first of all, I've been very honored to be asked to speak. It really is an enormous pleasure for me. The mission of MedTech Color is something that is very near and dear to my heart. I find it to be incredibly important to not only create a sense of community among diverse leaders in our field, but also to be focusing outward at how can we improve the state of healthcare by making our approaches to product development, marketing, all those aspects of what we do, make it more equal and address the diverse community as well. So I'm enormously excited, and really one of the things that excites me the most is that reflecting on my own path forward, joining communities and having mentors and advocates and even peers who are from similar backgrounds, regardless of what they are, whether it's Black, Hispanic, or in my case, multiracial, multicultural, it really gives you a sense of power. It's not about giving people unfair advantages. It's actually tapping into, allowing them to tap into their strengths and really contribute to society. And I think that's just a very important aspect of my background. And if there's any way for me to be able to encourage others and provide some guidance to others in the position that I'm in, I would be really enormously pleased by that. So I just happy to be here.
Well, talking about mentors and bright lights, we got Vanessa Pollard with us as well. And Vanessa, thanks for joining us today. And you are a partner over at McDermott, Will, and Emery, as well as being an incredibly active leader within MedTech Color. So upcoming breakfast, upcoming AvaMed conference, what are you going to be watching and what are you fired up about?
Well, Joe, one of the things I'm really fired up about are the partnerships with companies like Edwards, like yours, who have been sort of consummate supporters of MedTech Color and our mission. As the co-chair of the networking breakfast, one of the highlights is advancing MedTech Color's mission of diversifying our MedTech industry by highlighting leaders like Tania, and highlighting, as she said, all of the strengths that we bring to organizations because of our diverse experiences, our education, our perspective, and unique perspective sometimes on the industry. The other piece that's really exciting to me about the MedTech networking breakfast and the MedTech conference in general is also the opportunity to highlight thought leadership from diverse leaders in MedTech on issues that really impact patients and the way we think about diversity and health equity and how products get developed. So I'm particularly excited that MedTech Color has convened a panel that's going to be front and center at the MedTech conference that is featuring a diverse cross-section of perspectives from industry leaders on looking at ways to address bias in artificial intelligence and ML machine learning solutions.
Vanessa, you bring up a really interesting subject that I don't want to go too deep on, but I think certainly requires examination as AI and ML start to enter into the medtech industry from every perspective. That bias has a chance to be untethered, amplified, and black boxed and out of control. So I'd love to just have a general thought from both yourself and Tania. What do we need to be careful of in those areas?
Well, that I think dovetails really nicely with one of the other signature initiatives of MedTech Color, which is our collaborative community that is focused on addressing challenges with diversity in product development and in clinical trials. And our singular mission, which we are working in conjunction with FDA and other stakeholders in the collaborative, is how to provide best practices, guidance, thought leadership on how we address health equity across the board in medical device development. And a really important segment of that in AI is making sure that software algorithms that are diagnostic in nature, treatment in nature, or even for research are trained on data sets that are diverse and reflective of a large enough cross-section of patients so that you hope to minimize the potential for bias results if the data sets and the development protocols are not taking into consideration unique issues or perspectives of diverse patient populations. So that's one small sliver of what we are trying to solve for in MedTech Color and the collaborative community. And it's really exciting to be able to bring all of those thought leaders together at the MedTech conference to tackle those issues.
And Tania, I certainly would love your perspective on it. As Chief Compliance Officer, this has got to fall under your purview for sure.
It does. Certainly AI, there's enormous power in it for companies and there's an enormous potential. But I think there's a real danger in blindly relying on artificial intelligence in any aspect of our business because the biases are embedded. It's not even clear, how they've gotten embedded. And that's a big societal issue that we need to tackle. But they're there, and we don't want to make decisions based on a bias-infused system. So it's something that we think about a lot in all aspects of our work, whether it's product development or in internal decision-making where it might be relied upon. It's a very important area that I feel compelled to learn a lot more about so that we can navigate appropriately.
Mm-hmm. I think the design of those systems perhaps is not any more important than the questions we ask those who are designing them, for sure. I'm an engineer and I've been around MedTech for 30 years, and rarely do we get something right when we design it the first time. And boy, can that be a liability when you start to have the compounding effect of the power of AI. So that'll be interesting. So Kwame, I've been spending time with these two fabulous leaders within the medtech industry, and I've sort of been leaving you behind, but you and we get enough time together. But I'm excited for this year. What should we be keeping our eyes open for? And the pitch apps are still open, aren't they?
We opened up applications a couple of weeks ago. They will remain open for at least another month. And we invest in companies with diverse management teams that are early stage. We were talking about bias. And what I love about this particular pitch competition and accelerator is the founders are often working on problems in communities that may or may not be inclined to enroll in clinical trials. So the CEO of Navigate Maternity, which is working on maternal health issues, the CEO of Backpack, which works to treat teens in the Medicaid population, which have ethnic minorities in them. So I'm excited about our opportunity to invest in more. We've invested $865,000 to date, and we want to cross $1 million this year, and I know we will.
You know, the networking breakfast is when you sit there and you spin around in your table and you look around, the leadership that's sitting there from device companies, service providers, consulting firms, law firms, it's such a beautiful blend of sort of thought of leadership in general. And Tania, I'd love to get your perspective of what does leadership mean in the MedTech color and its initiatives to you?
Well, there's some traits that I think are common across all leadership initiatives. You know, you have to have vision, you have to have courage, willingness to challenge the system. There needs to be a level of capabilities behind it, transparency with those that you deal with. I think what's really critical in this endeavor and for MedTech Color is also embracing diverse opinions. And that is something that I have really seen challenging in many different contexts or industries. You know, the first four that I mentioned are always quite there, but then accepting diversity of opinion sometimes is a little bit more of a reluctance. And so I think for our leaders in our industry to be able to recognize not just that it's important to listen to diverse opinions, but actually it's going to create an enormous value for the industry in terms of really understanding from many different viewpoints the patients that we're trying to address, the market segments that we're trying to get into. Without that diversity of opinion being invited into the discussions and strategic planning, I think we're missing a great opportunity. So that I think is very important for us.
Yeah, and you know, organizations like MedTech Color are really important to get that point front and center, because it's passed over sometimes for even unintentional reasons, is raising a hand and saying, you know what, we're not paying enough attention to this. And in a category, in an industry that has got an inertia to it, sometimes it doesn't want to slow down and consider, because it costs money, delays things, may introduce a distraction that we didn't work into our budget or we didn't work into our timeline. So I think this is an invaluable practice that must be continued to be implemented in MedTech and healthcare at large. Vanessa, you've been involved with MedTech Color for quite a while, and you've watched this event in particular evolve over the years. What are the things that stand out to you from where we came from and where we're going to?
That's a great question. And I was just reflecting on that as we were preparing for this discussion and thinking about the breakfast overall. I've been involved with MedTech Color since its inception. I'm a founding member. This is in my passion space. It is, for me, the definition of professional fulfillment. And I remember when we were conceptualizing the networking breakfast 6 years ago, we were thinking maybe we'd have 50 people in the room and we would just maybe talk and network and chat and chew. It ended up that we had, 75 people in the room. We had a phenomenal panel discussion. It was a very safe space. People were very open and candid. And I've watched the evolution to a room full of 300 people or more, where you have leaders at the highest echelons of the MedTech sector, CEOs of some of the largest global strategic companies, to students and early professionals who are just entering grad school and thinking about entering this field. And what stands out to me is, to Tania's point about the need for diversity of opinion. One of the differentiators for the networking breakfast is that you have a wide cross-section of leaders, and it is a unique opportunity to start to open conversations about these topics, not only from improving and increasing diversity on an employment standpoint, but these issues of the business case, the business necessity, the importance of health equity. And that's how you start to drive more buy-in, right, for the diversity of opinion and listening. The other thing that stands out to me always about the breakfast is that I always leave with a nugget of new information that I use as a lawyer in advising clients. I always leave with a new meaningful contact in the industry who I am impacting and who's impacting me. And I always leave feeling enriched and fulfilled at the opportunity to connect in person with people that I haven't seen and who have poured into me throughout my career. So it really is one of the highlights, if not the highlight of the year for me.
And Kwame, back to you. You've got to just be sitting there grinning and proud at what has been ideated, taken action upon, built, and is now continuing to gain tremendous momentum.
You know, the wonderful thing about MedTech Color is it's bigger than any one person. It is an opportunity for a CEO with a neuromodulation company in Kentucky to be at the table with the CEO of Medtronic, the largest medical device company in the world, or a young lawyer from Hogan Lovells to be sitting next to Tania Saison, executive vice president at Edwards Lifesciences. The table is set, and year over year, people are coming back. And Joe, I'm trying to keep my professionalism, but I am jumping up and down inside. It's just a beautiful thing, year in and year out.
The one thing is, as all three of you chatting, we're constantly looking for how do we load the funnel in the MedTech industry with those that are underrepresented. And I often think I wish we could take school buses full of high school kids and pack them into the back of that breakfast meeting so they could look at that and say, I'm not going to Google, I'm not going to Apple, right? I'm going to Edwards, I'm going to Medtronic, I'm going to J&J, because that is the crew of people that I want to be working amongst. So, these are inspiring meetings for everybody in the industry, but especially for those who don't even know the industry yet. I think it's probably as important. Kwame, what did we not chat about this afternoon that maybe we should have? Same, Tania, Vanessa, what should we cover that perhaps I have not?
I just want everyone to know that we're actually going to have a slate of activities during AdvaMed, including a program we're partnering with WIN, the Women's Executive Network, which will feature Ashley McAvoy, CEO of Johnson & Johnson MedTech. We will have an evening reception sponsored by our friends at Edwards Lifesciences, in addition to a breakfast. And just to repeat, my dear colleague, Vanessa Pollard, will moderate the panel on addressing issues of bias and of AI in MedTech. So MedTech Color enjoys a special relationship with AdvaMed, and the quality and quantity of activities are going to increase. And I'll put a little bug in everyone's ears. If you're there on Sunday, be sure to attend the Pediatric Devices Symposium. We're going to have a special announcement about a new partnership that we're going to unveil there.
Vanessa, anything before we head out?
I would say if you're not a member of MedTech Color, go to our website, sign up, join, get involved, get engaged. It's worth it.